Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be working with a graphing calculator. Now I know we are remote and I can't put one in your hands, but you can download your own free graphing calculator app. This is the one I'm going to be using. You can see it on the right side of the screen. If you have an iPhone, it looks like this in the Apple Store, and if you have an Android, it looks like this in the Google Store or whatever you guys use. I do not have an Android. It is totally free, and this is what I'll be using. So please pause the video to download this calculator app. If you are opposed to downloading apps or you don't have a phone or whatever the issue is, here's a free online graphing calculator called Desmos. You can Google Desmos graphing calculator or type in desmos.com. It'll pretty much do the same thing. And if you need any help with that, just let me know. But hopefully you were able to download the app. So I'm going to start with a little bit of review. I know you're sick of seeing the MAM strategy and these trinomials, but I promise just one last time here. So I am trying to multiply to negative 30, and I'm trying to add to negative 13. Now the two numbers that multiply to negative 30, add to negative 13 are negative 15 and 2. I add those up, I get negative 13, and I just drop those two numbers into my factors and actually solve for my zeros to solve for my solutions. I apply my equal 0 to both of these, and I use inverse operations. So x minus 15 equals 0. I want to do the opposite of minus 15, which is plus 15. And also I am switching the sign of my factor, so I end up with 15 as one of my zeros. If I'm just switching the signs, what would my other zero be? Well, the opposite of positive 2 is negative 2. So 15 and negative 2, that is my answer. And this is tricky because I had to do some thinking and then I had to do some solving, and there's got to be an easier way to do this. And that's why we're using the calculator. Okay, so I know my solutions are 15 and negative 2. Let me show you something cool. So use your graphing calculator app or the website and locate the y equals. And we're going to type in x squared minus 13x minus 30, exactly how you see it. F of x is the same thing as y, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with the x button. It's to the right of the green alpha button. To square something, it's above log squared minus 13x again minus 30. Now, if I hit graph, I'll get a picture of this graph. I'm going to go ahead and on the bottom right here, hit close. And now I want to look at a table. Does anybody see where the table button is? What button has the word table written above it? It's the graph button. It's on the top right. If I want to access the table, in order to get to the little features written on the top, I have to push the blue second button that's above alpha. And now all the blue features appear, and I can look at the table. Now, bringing you back to our problem here, my solutions are 15 and negative 2. If I go to my table here, it's x values on the left side, y values on the right side. If I go to where y is 0, I'm going to see negative 2, which is one of my answers. I'm going to scroll down in my table a little bit. Another 0. And look, the x value is my other answer. So this is how you can solve these equations. You type in whatever they give you into y equals, hit second graph, and just look to see where you have a 0 in the y column. So my solutions are 15 and negative 2 because those are the x values when y is 0. I know this table looks pretty complicated, but if it had only what I need, x and y, I would have 2 zeros. The one lower down would be 15, and the one higher up would be -2. And I would just circle my answer. No need to write MAM on top, no need to use the table, just the calculator. Pretty cool, huh? Let's try this again. If 4x squared minus 100 equals 0, the roots of the equation are... Roots is another word for zeros. So I'm going to hit y equals. I'm going to hit clear, which is on the right side. Clear that out. And I'm going to type in 4x squared minus 100. I don't have to put equals 0 because equals 0 is the same thing as equals y or y equals. Just going to put the exciting stuff in the calculator. Now, what do I want to look at now, the graph or the table? Definitely the table. So I hit the blue second button, second, table. Now I'm looking to see where y is 0. I don't see that anywhere right now. So if I scroll up a little bit, oh, there it is. What is the x value when y is 0 in this part of the table? Well, it's going to be -5. So my choices have 2 -5s there and there, but choices 1 and 2 do not have -5 at all. Let's see if +5 is also a 0. Look at that. And when y is 0, x is +5. So those are my two answers. So I circle choice 3. Let's do this again. I forgot to put a little squared right there. All right, so the function r of x is defined by the expression. So this one says use factoring to determine the zeros. But we just learned a really cool trick in the calculator. I'm going to show you how to get around these instructions and still get full credit. So I hit y equals, clear everything out, type in my function, which is x squared plus 3x minus 18. R of x is the same thing as y equals, so I don't have to type that in. And I hit second graph. Do you see any zeros on this part of the graph? And what's the x value across from that 0? So one of them is x is 3. So x, y, 0 there, 3. And let's see if I scroll down. Looks like my numbers are just getting bigger and bigger. So I'm going to scroll up. Oh, there's the other one, -6. So if this was a Regents, I'd get partial credit just for having my 2 zeros, but they said use factoring or those bubble thingies. So I'm going to show you a little trick. So I'm going to put my 2 zeros, 3 and -6, and I'm going to do my t-chart, and I'm going to work backwards. Make my 2 factors, put x and x. Remember, if I have to switch the signs, what would these two factors be? The opposite of +3 is -3. Opposite of -6 is +6. So even though I use the calculator, I still got credit for factoring because I showed the factors. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like cheating, but not really because you still solved it correctly. And for this would be 2 points on the Regents. For another 2 points, explain what the zeros represent. This is super easy. So we could say zeros are the x values when y equals 0. That is the trick here. I know I used a symbol in that sentence. That's okay. It's a math class. So how are you feeling so far? Do you understand it? Kind of understand it? Totally lost? Let me know. Okay. So this one says find the zeros algebraically. We're going to do more of that life hack where you just find them on the calculator. This one looks a little weird. I couldn't even use my man strategy if I tried. But no matter. F of x equals same thing as y equals. I hit clear. I type this in exactly how I see it. X minus 3, close parentheses, squared, minus 49, second, table. I am looking for my zeros. Make a little chart here to help you out. Do you see any zeros? Yes, one of them is -4. I bet the other one is going to be lower down. And what is the other one? +10. So, like I said before, that will get you partial credit. If I want full credit, I have to pretend that I did this algebraically and show my factors. What would my two factors be if my zeros are -4 and 10? While switching the signs, I get x plus 4 and x minus 10. Put the equal 0 there, and that'll look great. You can even put a box around your zeros as your final answer. Okay, this one looks a little funky. I want the solution, which is the zeros, but this equals 28. If you had to guess, I'm looking for the zeros. I don't want this to equal 28. What do I want this to equal? I want it to equal 0. So that means I have to get rid of the positive 28. What can we do to get rid of a positive 28? Well, I want to use a negative 28. So I am going to rewrite this x plus 2 squared exactly how I see it. And I'm going to use inverse operations, minus 28 on both sides. Now this is going to look a little funky, and that is okay. So what I'm going to do is bring down everything that's already there to x plus 2 squared. I'm going to bring down the -4, and I'm going to bring down the minus 28 equals 28 minus 28 is 0. So you could put this in the calculator just like this. It's messy, but that's okay. The calculator will clean it up for you. If you wanted to combine these like terms, and you would get -32, that's fine. But I'm just going to make my life easier. I'm going to type this into y equals or y1, because that's what it looks like on my thingy here. So 2 parentheses x plus 2 squared -4 minus 28, and I hit second graph to look at the table. Do you see the zeros? Well, one of them on my screen here is +2, and if I scroll up, I see the other one is -6. So my choice would be choice 3, +2 and -6. So the only thing that might throw you off here is this has to equal 0. So if it doesn't equal 0, you use inverse operations to make that happen. I'm going to have you try one on your own. I will help you out by typing in what you need to in the calculator. X squared minus 5x minus 6, and you hit second graph. What are the two zeros for this function? So here's how you do this one. I look at my table. I am looking to see when y is 0, and there's probably going to be 2 of them. If I scroll up, I see that one is at -1, and I'm looking for the other one. Whoop, there it is, and 6. So my answer would be -1 and positive 6. Let's try another one. What are the zeros of this function? Remember, you go to y equals, hit clear, and to type in 2x squared minus 4, minus 4x minus 6, hit second graph to look at the table. What are your two zeros? Here's what I got, x and y. Looking for where y is 0. I see one right away at positive 3. And when I scroll up, I see the other one, like on the same screen there, is at negative 1. So positive 3 and negative 1, just got to choose carefully. And I get choice 1. Right, this one's going to be kind of weird. If we have x to the third, how many zeros do you think we're going to get? We're going to get 3 answers. So I can pretty much automatically cross out choices 1 and 2. All right, let me show you how to put an exponent of 3 into the calculator. A couple ways to do it. So I'm going to start by typing in 2x. Now I can hit this little caret button. It's underneath clear. I don't know why it's called a caret. And it'll give you a little box to type in any exponent that you want. I'm going to type in 3. And you see how I'm still up in that little exponent area? If you hit the right arrow above clear, it'll bring you back down. So let's do that again. 2x, hit the caret, 3, hit the right arrow, and you can keep typing the rest in. Plus 12x minus 10x squared. I could use the caret button to type in a squared, but I don't need to do that. Okay, then I hit second graph, and just by looking at this table, what are my 3 zeros? Well, there's one right here, here, and here. I can show you the table, x and y, 0, 0, 0. You have 1 at 0, 1 at 2, and 1 at 3. Okay, this one has fractions. Don't worry, that actually will not come up, but I have a problem here. This is equal to 8. What do I want it to equal? Yes, I want it to equal 0. What am I going to do in order to set 3x squared plus 10x equals 8 equal to 0? What should I do? I'm going to use inverse operations. The opposite of positive 8 is negative 8. Whatever I do on one side, I do to the other. I am going to bring down all 3 terms. Don't worry about combining. You can't even combine these, so it doesn't quite matter. Minus 8. This one I just brought down there. Equals, what is 8 minus 8? Cancels out, and it's 0. So this is what I'm going to put into my calculator. Hit y equals 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Hit second graph. What is a 0 that you see in this table? Hopefully you saw that negative 4 was a 0. So if I was going to set up my table, x and y, my two zeros, I know negative 4 is going to be one of them. Now, there is an issue here. If I keep scrolling up and scrolling down, I'm not going to find that other 0. And that's because it's a fraction. And notice how the numbers on the left side in blue of my table, all my x values, these ones right here, there's no fractions. And that's a setting that is automatically in your calculator. So I'm going to go to my choices here with the 1, 0 that I got. I need a choice that has negative 4. Which choice should I go with? Choice 1 is the only one that has negative 4. So none of the other choices could possibly be my answer. I didn't even have to worry about that fraction. Okay, let's do another one. This one says algebraically. That just means I'm going to find my zeros from a table. I'm going to put my zeros here and here. And I am going to fake some factors. So why don't you go ahead and try this one. You're going to type this into the calculator. You're going to hit second graph when you're done and find your two zeros. What are those two zeros? All right, let's go over this. Hopefully you typed in x squared plus 7x minus 8. Second graph. I already see one of my zeros. 1. And the other one is right there, negative 8. 1 and negative 8. Those go right here. And if those are my zeros, what are my two factors? I just need to switch the signs. The opposite of positive 1 is negative 1. The opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. So this is how you do this algebraically, but secretly on the calculator. Let's do one more. I see an exponent of 3, so I'm going to get 3 zeros. I'll let you take the challenge here. Please type this into y equals, keeping in mind to get an exponent of 3, you're going to want to use the button underneath clear after you push x. So try this on your own and then we'll go over it. Okay, to find the zeros, you type in 3x to the third. Hopefully you remembered that you have to push the right arrow to go back down, plus 21x squared plus 36x. Hit second graph. One of my zeros is 0. Let's look for some more. Another one is negative 3. Another one is negative 4. So if those are my 3 zeros, what would my factors be? Well, in order to switch the sign for 0, just kidding, you can't. We're just going to put x. For the next one, you can switch a sign. The opposite of negative 3, positive 3. Opposite of negative 4, positive 4. Put an equal 0 just to look nice. So if they ever ask you to find the zeros, use the calculator. It makes things so much easier. And if they ask you to do it algebraically, just lie. Just pretend you did it with the factors, even though you got these from the calculator and then worked backwards to get your factors. So that's it for today. Hope you had a good time with the graphing calculator. We're going to be using more of this in future lessons. So let me know what you thought of the lesson, and I'll see you next class.